Everyone, Doug with the Wendibros here, and I feel like you hear my voice too much, and I apologize about that. Don't worry, we're going to get these shy guys eventually coming out of their shell a little bit. But before we go into this episode, I did want to set the tone for what you're about to hear. You may be thinking, oh, this is just a repeat. Well, sort of, but it's also the uninterrupted version of Rick's story in the Ura Shrine. This isn't an investigation, it's not a breakdown of evidence. It's simply a conversation between different individuals. What you're listening to was recorded late at night. We were sitting around a bonfire at the Ura Shrine in Bristol, Tennessee. We didn't have a studio, no dramatic setup, just 4 wireless microphones, a crackling fire over a pentagram, and our good friend Rick, who's the keeper and caretaker of the shrine, who spoke in his own words. Portions of this conversation appeared throughout our full investigation episode. But what you're hearing or watching now is the uninterrupted version, rescored for vocal clarity, but otherwise we left it as it was, an honest, relaxed, and unfiltered conversation. The Ura Shrine is often described as frightening, mysterious, sometimes unsettling, but as you'll hear tonight, it doesn't have to be, and that was not the experience for the Wendibros. For many, like us, it's a place of reflection, balance, and peace, if you're willing to make it on its own terms. This episode is for those who want to understand the shrine beyond all the rumors and all the sensational clips that you tend to see out there, and for those who simply just want to listen to a different perspective. So pull up a chair, or sit in your very comfortable vehicle, I hope, or settle in by a fire, and I want you to hear it straight from the source. The Wendibros recorded this on site at the Ura Shrine. This is our good friend Rick, and this is his story. So hey guys, we are the Wendibros, and we are here with Rick at the Ura Shrine. And Rick, you own the Ura Shrine, correct?
Yes, it's a family property that's been in my family since 1920s.
Yeah.
Grandfather purchased it originally and went from that to my father to, I purchased it back in 2005, I think, formally. Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about like where the idea for the Ura Shrine came from, what inspired you to make it, or what your history was that led to the Ura Shrine?
Well, and as quickly, because I could talk for days, but
yeah.
Basically, my family has a pretty good military background,
Right.
An admiral or two, and a few things. So I was a troubled kid, and in the 10 to 12 range, just hyper, I guess what you would call ADHD now or something. I was all boy, as they used to call me, and was out into stuff. Well, anyway, one of my uncles, who was a master sergeant in the military, the Army, knew an instructor, a martial arts instructor in Irwin. So in 1968, I started training in a very formal martial art. They figured that would straighten me out. Sword art, not necessarily combat kind of stuff.
So was it like kendo or?
It was kendo, iaido,
Yeah.
very similar. And they had some aikido, jiu-jitsu, different things. So they started me in that, and I acclimated to it just amazing. I loved it. I've been doing it my entire life, and I've got a law enforcement background, and started at age 12, and by the time I was in my mid-20s, I was teaching defensive tactics on police departments, on local and state, and then later went on up into the federal level instructing. Right. So how the shrine comes is a quick thing is in martial arts, and this is why some people will get it, some won't. In martial arts, if you watch somebody do a kata, everybody knows what a kata is back in the day, for something where they just do a form of pattern. Well, there's 3 parts of the kata. It's called omote, ura, and honto. Okay, omote is when you see, everybody looks and you see a guy do a punch and you go, that was a punch.
Yeah.
That's a kick. That's the omote, it's obvious. Ura means secret or not really what you're seeing. So the punch might actually be a setup for a throw, or a kick might be a setup for a takedown. So that's the Ura, what's the secret behind it. And then omote, or the honto, the final, means you understand that. So a Ura Shrine by definition means that what you see is apparent. Everybody walks in and sees the same trappings, the same, banners, the same symbols. Everybody sees that. But the Ura behind it is each one of those has a different meaning, depending on what culture you come from or what have you. So when it's called a Ura Shrine, means it is a shrine with secrets, not secrets like nobody knows what they are or that there's something nobody would ever be told. It's just that when you look, like you say, at the fire pit, there's a secret on the fire pit, which you guys now know that you never noticed.
Yeah.
It's just because it's nothing magical. It's just, so the Ura Shrine here is a combination. And I'm a senior citizen now by quite a few years. And I have taught and or taken or trained and or taught martial arts my entire adult life, both on a personal level, privately with schools, dojos, what have you, as many as 3 and 4 open at one time in different states. And so I rose to a very, I would just say a respectable rank. And because of my age, all of the other instructors have kind of faded away to dust. So I'm kind of, as it is now, the acting head of our style until they appoint somebody in Japan to overwrap me, and they will, because I'm not Japanese. But so that's why the look. It's basically a headquarters and for the style. So that's why you see all the Japanese stuff, and it looks. And one thing that happened is when I was studying with these people. Now I grew up right here in Blumpville and Appalachian, the buckle of the Christian Bible Belt, really. Yeah. And but the instructor down there, a couple of the people was there training were Shintoists. Mm-hmm. And Shinto is the Japanese, it's not a religion, it's just a practice. And so I kind of acclimated to the Shintoism and blended. Mm-hmm. And so the torii gate in the front, some of the symbols around here, that's where the term shrine. And that's not Shinto. The traditional Shintoists would come unglued because they say that's not a Shinto shrine because you have all this other stuff.
And that was going to be one of the questions I asked you too. And I think whenever we were doing research into it, I think John actually found an article of, I would assume would probably be a Shinto purist. And they were basically saying that it was cultural appropriation was what you were doing, which, I think on that end with Shintoism, the way I understand it is that it's essentially a free religion in many ways, that you're allowed to practice it. It doesn't necessarily, and correct me if I'm wrong, but.
Well, first of all, appropriation, everybody gets on that band, right?
I prefer appreciation.
Well, actually, the correct term, as I was taught, is acculturation. So I have acculturated into the Shinto and the Japanese lifestyle. Now, I'm 6'5", Scot-Irish. There's not a drop of Japanese Asian blood in me. But I acculturated into the Asian culture because it's completely opposite from what the West is. And you can go into different things like our saws push on the cut, their saws cut on the pull. Everything's kind of backwards. So it gives me a duality of looking at things. But when it comes to, the funny thing about the Japanese is I know many Japanese. I had a couple Japanese come all the way from Tokyo to what you'd say, bless the shrine, or when we opened the shrine, they always came from Tokyo and actually did part of the rituals here. I've never had any problem with the Asians. Most of the people that get on the appropriation bandwagon aren't even Asians.
You're right about that. I think it's probably more Western mindset on that. And I think that, especially looking into Asian culture and Eastern culture, I think that the way their verbiage behind it is that anybody can do this so long as they're respectful.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you look at this, when I call it the Ura Shrine, there are things like there's 80,000 shrines in Japan. And Shinto is not a religion. There's not a deity. There's not a Bible. There's not even a thing. It's just paying homage to the world, the trees, the water. Everything has a purpose now. And not to say that Shinto is different or that I'm speaking for them, because I'm absolutely not. I can only speak for myself. Yeah. But they say there's 80 million gods in Shinto. And the trees have a god, the rocks have a god, the water has a god. Well, if you translate that, God to them is not like a creator God, it's like an essence.
Yeah.
So a tree has an essence that is valuable. The water has an essence that is valuable. The earth is valuable. Therefore, you don't destroy the valuable things on the earth because that would just be stupid.
Yeah.
You know, so it's more of like the Native American protect the land.
Right.
That's what Shinto is. Now they branch off into Shinto that does other things. If you was a fisherman, you would pay homage to the ocean spirits and the storm spirits and the fish spirits because you're fishermen.
Yeah.
If you're growing things, then the rain and the earth. You know, that would be your deities that you'd pay respects to. If you're a merchant, then it would be to the buy it for $1, sell it for $2.
Right.
Well, I grew up as a martial artist. So the martial arts deities that is used in a Hachiman shrine, similar to this, is that we don't really, ours is so that you die in battle facing your enemy and die of good strength kind of thing. Now that's an extreme, but that's the difference. So the Shintoists that are like, they have the little kamidanas and a few things. All of that is upstairs, and the respect part of that is it's very formal and nobody ever sees it. But the fact that all of this is down here is what makes most of them come unglued. And there for a while, we was kind of really outspoken for about a year or two, all up and down the Shinto world, even from Japan. They call me up and they go, "Boy, you causing trouble today." And I'd go, "I really don't care." But all of the people that that I would matter, in other words, I would not want to upset, weren't upset. And all the other people are just trolls. I don't care.
Yeah, and that was going to be my question, I guess, about the kami. You know, and I think, and what we've studied is in most Shinto shrines that there's a kami at the center of it, and even in Japan, they have a kami within businesses as well too. So I know you stated that you have that here. Can you? Are you able to describe that? Or
ours is a Hachiman. The Gongen, the central part, is upstairs, and it's very formal, and that is basically an Edo, well, he would be more Heian period samurai that did some stuff for the Tokugawa shogunate, which was there. And I have some artifacts that this individual had, and they're passed. In other words, my style of Shindo is called a kaiden.
Right.
A kaiden, Kaden. A kaiden Shinto is a hereditary passage through like a certificate, almost like a martial arts instructor. The head of the martial arts style, when he gets ready to go, will name the next head of the martial arts style, and there'll be all kinds of people under it. And it's a kaiden. That's what it is. I'm not a Shintoist that's been to the Shinto University and speaks Shinto and do all of the different rituals, because that's a whole different kind of Shinto. The thing most people are kind of bent about, if they get that way, is they could never be what I am, ever.
Yeah.
They can't. So if they're jealous about that, that's okay. I'm not claiming to be them, but they could never do what I do because they haven't done what I do, the schools I've been through. But that doesn't mean there's people, every Kaden, they could be 4,000 Kaden Shintos.
Yeah.
But each one of them passes it to the next. And most of the time it's from father, son, husband, wife. It's just
so it's very familial.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And both of mine, the people that passed it on to me, just said, "I don't have anybody. Would you take it?" And I loved it. So I took the responsibility, and I'm what's called a caretaker, which is a shinshoku. And some people go like, "Well, you hadn't been to the formal Japanese royal school of," I look at it this way. Shinto is. Let's compare. If you look at the Jinza Shinto, the royal Shinto, is kind of like the Catholic Church. Now, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying Catholic Church has really big cathedrals and a lot of pomp and circumstance and robes and formal stuff, and you got to go to preschool to be a priest, and it's massive. Well, the formal Shinto of Japan is that way. Then you kind of drop down into what you'd call Protestant kind of thing, which is, there's different forms in the middle. There's about 15 different schools. And then you got what they call the folk Shinto, which is the people like us. I guess if you was compared it would be like the formal Shinto would be the big Catholics,
Yeah.
And the folk Shinto would be, and not to pick on anybody, the what's the ones that handle snakes in the Pentecostal.
Yeah, the snake handlers or snake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So both of them are still on the same plane by definition and design, but they're worlds apart in the practice and the rituals. And so they can call me the snake handler. I'm a Ura Shrine, which means there are secrets here, martial arts. I can tell if somebody's in my sect within 10 minutes of them walking in this place because they know things about our sect that somebody who was not there would never know.
Yeah.
And if I walked into another sect, I wouldn't know their stuff. They would look at me and go, "Hey, where'd you study? Who's your master? Who did you study? What's your path?" And you know the answers.
Yeah.
And I just happen to be at the moment probably the oldest one around, definitely in the United States.
Sure.
Here. And as soon as Japan takes that away and says, "Now this is the new person," that'll be cool. But they hadn't done it yet, and it might not until I croak off, and then I have to do it. Or something. Well, actually,
would the shrine continue, I guess?
Yes, I would pass the kaiden on the certificate, which is Minko Kaiden, would pass it off to somebody here that would become the next caretaker. And they may not have even been a Shintoist at all. They could still caretaker of the shrine. Keep it the way it's supposed to be, kind of like caretaker of a school. Janitor. That's all I say I am. Most of the time, it's a janitor. People go, "You're a priest this, you're a priest that." I'm just a janitor. I keep the doors open, the pathways clean, things ready for the kami. And this place was built to serve the kami. People are visitors.
Yeah.
So when people come, that's when the different things come in. But basically, this is built to, if not a single person was to ever come back in here again, and I continued my daily rituals and practices for what this particular shrine requires, I'd be totally fine with that.
Right.
But because it is a kami, and we do invite spirits, and they can be any kind of spirits that come and visit, the paranormal world started saying, "Wait a minute, you don't have protections, and you don't know anything can be here, good, bad, light, dark." And so that's when paranormal teams started coming by.
Okay.
And the reason this place is different from most places, there was a guy named Carlos Zuzak came here, a TV guy, and he said this place is, it not was. And it stuck with me. Most people investigate places that were an abandoned hospital or a battlefield or a psychiatric ward, and it used to be that, so it's all residual and done. This place still is. There's rituals done here every day, 2 and 3 times a day, and there's more and more groups coming here now. So maybe 100 years from now, if the shrine's still standing and it's then empty for whatever reason, and people come and go, "This used to be a place where this crazy old dude built, and these witches and druids and Nordics and all the other people came to practice," and it'll be like that. But as it is right now, it's still cooking along every day.
Yeah. And where do you think that came from, though, as far as I know whenever you opened this up as a Shinto shrine, it was, I guess in your own way, it was a non-traditional Shinto shrine, but as far as the pagan practices and I guess visitors coming from the outside, where did that come from?
Well, my background, my mother was a practicing, we found out later on after she had passed, was a practicing member of the Golden Dawn back in the 50s.
Okay.
And my father, big military guy, he straightforward, he used to always say, "That's your mother's stuff." And basically was you'd call an Appalachian kitchen witch or something like that, because the Appalachian Mountains got all these midwives and healers and potions and what have you that's not necessarily flying around on a broom kind of witch. You'd think they would just call kitchen witches or granny witches or whatever you call them. And that's pretty much hereditary, supposedly. And my grandmother, great-grandmother, everybody said, so they all said this is just something they taught. Just old things to get rid of warts or to get rid of anything, just remedies. Right. So I was exposed to it there. And then how the other people started coming is all of a sudden people would come here and they say, "This is a really cool place."
Yeah. It is.
Would you mind if we, like 4 or 5 of us, come in here sometime and meditated or did a little ritual? And I'd say, of course not. Feel free. So I started opening the doors for people that were marginalized because of their practices. This is, the buckle of the Bible belt here. And if you do anything that's not according to the norm of the zeitgeist that's happening here now, then you're going to be kind of, marginalized.
You'll be ostracized. Yeah.
Yeah. So here they couldn't. I mean, the first wedding we had here many years ago was 2 witches that wanted to get married, and they were also 2 females, so they were 2 lesbian witches wanting to get married. They went all around this area.
Find a Baptist preacher.
They couldn't find anybody to marry them, and they couldn't find a hotel or anything that would let them rent a place to get married, to have what I found out then was a hand fasting where they tie the hands together. It's a ritual there. They wanted to have the fasting done here. Now, they still had to go to the county and get the certificate, and even then, this was before, gays could, or lesbians could get married. They hadn't passed in Tennessee. It's Tennessee. So they came and did the hand fasting, then the next one would come in. And so that's kind of how it grew. And now it's kind of exploded to the point to where there's been any number of groups that come here or are here at any given time doing rituals specific to whatever their practice is. I look at them and I just go, as long as you're, the rules is here is you don't make fun of anybody. If you make fun of somebody, you're in the wrong place. Mm-hmm. So if somebody's into fae and, the fairy folk and whatever, or if they're, everybody here just goes. And what you'll find out is a lot of people take what they do very serious.
Oh, yeah.
Very serious. And so we just give them a chance to do that here.
Yeah. It's really cool. That is good. I mean, it's, and you hear about that. And I think you touched on something too is, especially whenever you mention the Catholic thing, and I guess the analogy between that and Shintoism, my ears kind of perked because I was raised within Catholicism in Washington, D.C., and my dad eventually said, I don't think I want to do this anymore because the idea of, worshiping idols rather than God kind of broke me off of that. And so, my dad kind of, in many ways, I mean, my father was kind of a maverick in that regard because he said, if you're going to find God, find it on your own. Yes. And I really liked how you kind of correlated that together. Is that, everything in many ways is open for interpretation. And I think it's all a matter of how it works for you. And I think everybody here tonight is all of varying beliefs. I follow the principles of, Christian teachings, mostly that of Jesus, but I also follow the teachings of Buddhism too. And I've been reading, especially to prepare for you, I was reading a lot for Tibetan Buddhism before I got here. Right. And so I just thought that was really neat how you touched on that. So
a lot of when it comes to religion and why this place is so unique is because it's right in the middle of the Appalachians. Yeah. And it didn't exist here 20 years ago. And most people still don't know that it exists today. People that come by now locally, this is the place. But, you got the only practice that hasn't been here at any strength is Hindu, which is the Indian, because there's not too many around. But there's been priests here, both Catholic. There's been Jewish rabbis here come and visit, talk. Many denominations of Christian. The thing I found out about religion, and Shinto is not a religion. Yeah, that's the thing. It does not have a dogma that says this is the guy that rules and these are the rules. The rule is basically don't hurt the earth.
Yeah. Right. And I think Shinto is like, I guess if you had to call it anything, like an indigenous early faith.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And, we've got Taoist here, and I love all the Asian stuff and but the bottom line is there are really, really good people in every religion, and there are really, really, really people who suck in every religion. Amen. And absolutely. You can be in the same church, and this church will have issues with this church. I mean, I grew up in the Christian church, sidekicked off into the Shintoism, which I could never go to vacation Bible school and talk about because they'd say, tell Ricky not to talk, ask us questions, or you can't come back and build a little thing out of matchsticks, right? I mean, you can't go back and graduate vacation Bible school. So I kept my mouth shut. But even the most fragmented, and this will go and you can cut it out if you don't like it, the most violent religion that has ever existed has been the Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
And I'm not saying the worst is because they believe they have the mandate to make you believe if you tell a Hindu that you don't really follow the fact that he worships a blue elephant, he'll go, "It's cool."
Yeah.
He don't care.
Watch out for Shiva.
That's it. So every religion, the Buddhist, it's like follow your own path. Everybody's getting go. But some people, when they start saying, if you don't believe what I believe, then I have the right to punish you for it. Right. That's when it starts getting a bit odd. Yep. And the people who are Christians, they're awesome. There's people who are Christians that aren't.
Yeah.
And, I don't have a problem with any of them. And most of them come up here, take one look at the giant pentagram out in the thing, and they go, nope. And go right.
A lot of superstition in this area.
Oh,
yeah. Lot. And you know. I've got a question. So you touched on, you talked about some the rituals that you do to keep up this place, and I don't want to get personal. I don't want to ask you about anything that you feel uncomfortable. What I'm curious about is, with all the people that you have coming in, and you've said that don't make fun of anybody and don't harm the earth or any of the essence. Right. Are there any other rituals that visitors have wanted to do or maybe talked about doing or did that maybe goes against your rituals, the things that you do to keep this place sacred or special?
Well, in Shintoism of cleanliness, one thing that is not done here is nothing can be sacrificed on the ground. Nothing can be sacrificed. Now, we have some Santeria people that was here and different things, and the idea of cutting a chicken and using a ritual. And trust me, I eat Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'm a meat eater, so people butcher animals all the time, and doing so in a religious text is normal in most of the world. I don't allow that to happen here just because there are also people here who that would be offensive to. And so if their particular thing they would do could possibly be or maybe be offensive to other people, we don't allow it here. Okay. Just like some people, like some of the witches may want to, do the, where they stand around the ritual night gaze or something where they're nude, Some people might like it, some people might not. So they don't do that when there's other people here that wouldn't see anything. People who are darker that use pentagrams in their stuff. Now, pentagram is a universal symbol of the 5 elements or the 4 elements and different things. It's worldwide. Yeah. It's worldwide. Only until that LaVey dude back in the 60s flipped it up sideways and formed a Church of Satan. Nobody even knew what it was until then.
Right. Yeah.
And so LaVey kind of took it and did that. It's kind of like Hitler. The swastika was taken from Buddhism.
Seasons,
yeah. Well, but Hitler, the swastika was used in Buddhism. Turned one way means peace, the other way means war. He stole that from Buddhism and is supposed to lay flat, stood it up on his end, and basically said, "I'm going to destroy the world with religion." Yeah. And there's some people that are specific say, "No, that ain't what he meant," but kind of did. So so
actually they told us that in history.
Yeah. So when people are here, to answer your question, everybody does ritual. If a ritual is uncomfortable to someone else, and you'll go into spots in here tonight and you'll see like the table or the rituals of the Covenstead that some people go into and like, yeah, this room's not for me. And that's okay. A lot of them have classes out here in this place. Even though we're around a pentagram fireplace, most of them don't notice it. They just go,
I didn't notice it until you just...
and you go, what is that?
No wonder it's so warm.
It's true. So so to answer that, there's nothing, no ritualistic sacrifice. And like I say, there's been a few hoodoo practitioners here, and they pretty quick to, cut a chicken, then eat it or cook it or something. They just unalive it for the ritual, then eat it. Just like if you was in the Old West, they'd say, go get a chicken for dinner. You go get the chicken, you don't unalive it. It's the same thing. You're still cutting its head off. And then you go fix it. Great-grandmother probably chopped the head off a bunch of chickens here in Appalachian, because they didn't go to the store. So it's the same thing. It's just not done here in any kind of a religious thing, so it doesn't affect somebody.
Okay. That's good. That's cool. It makes sense to me personally that Wiccans would like to practice here because the big thing is, if it harms none, then do what you will. So that's a really good, and I think there's parts of that in all the major religions. I think most of them want you to not cause harm.
Right.
And so,
they'll do unto you other things, a universal thing, because if you're walking around causing trouble, you're eventually going to run into somebody bigger, faster, more powerful than you, and you're going to get, stopped. Yeah. And, the basic religion's everybody's own path to make themselves at some force peaceful with themselves and what they're doing. And it's going to be different for everybody. Here, like I say, now we have Wiccans here and we have witches here. And the witches will light you up if you mean, and I don't mean individual, but they do rituals here to protect against child predators in the area. They'll take their pictures and go like, yeah, we're going to freeze. They don't make the guy have a problem. They just say, slow him down, So there are that kind of stuff goes on here. And I don't even ask. I go in, there'll be 10 of them in there, and I'll be putting something in jars, and I'll say, what are you doing? And they go, we're just doing some stuff. And you go, all right. And you say, you're going to bury it? And they go, yes. I make sure it's somewhere else because it don't smell right,
You trust these people?
Absolutely.
Right.
They're good people. And the fact that they can be themselves is why this place is what it is, because you can come in here and there'll be a complete plethora of people, from Catholics to necromancers to be just a blend, and everybody gets along. Because if they don't, they just don't come back.
Okay, cool. So I know you said that you've had this. This has kind of been this land has been in your family for a long time. Right. I believe you said what, the 40s or the 20s? 20. Right. Okay. And when we visited last time, you kind of talked a little bit about the Ura Shrine.
Right.
And so has that always been here, or was it just now noticed, or recently, or
how this happened is when I bought the property, it was a duplex and it was run down, kind of looked like a Sanford and Son place. If you ever saw that, stuff's everywhere. There was refrigerators laying over here with lounge chairs beside it where my uncles could sit a beer on the empty refrigerator while they sunned it. It's pretty rough. So when I bought it, I started renovating it. Well, in Shinto, kami sound stuff is normal. Something goes bing bang, scrapes, chair moves, something. They go, it's just a kami. You don't think nothing about it. So when I started building it, I completely gutted. I started to stay in the best part of it, which was still bad, and I gutted the other one down to nothing, and I started hearing sounds. I'd be on this side, and I would hear what sounded like cafeteria sounds, like people, plates, and people talking that, and doing that kind of thing. It might have actually been my phone. Okay. But so I started hearing things, and I guess to answer your question, or maybe, I didn't know what it was. I don't have the ability to see. If there's ever a skeptic, you guys are kind of skeptical. I'm absolutely that. If a light flickers, it's 99% electrical, especially in a place this old, and maybe 1% paranormal. Whereas some people, it's 99% paranormal, and I'm not judging. I'm very skeptical. So I don't have an ability. I'm not psychic. I don't see spirits. I don't necessarily. If something would touch me, I'd feel it. Or if something moved and made a sound, I would hear it, of course. But I'm not a medium. I don't do that. And so I started call people to come in, tell me what was going on, because a lot of my ex-cop buddies on the federal, state, and local level would come in, we'd party, and they like to drink. So the Oni Gate. We're all here right there on that bar one night, and there's a couple feds here, expats, what we call them, they're retired. And I walked over in the corner there, and they said, "Where'd you go?" And I said, "I'm standing right here." And they go, "We can't see you." And I said, "What are you talking about? It's like dusk." They said, "We can't see you." I said, "Y'all drunk," which they were. I mean, I admit it, they were drunk. They had to have chairs because they couldn't walk. But, you know, then we're all sitting around telling war stories when we was made a sense of did something. I don't know. But I got to looking out there, and my dog walked in, and I have glaucoma. I'm night vision blind. And I walked in and I could see at night. And so I called some people in the Oni Gate there. A psychic comes in, and she goes, "This is a natural portal." Now, when I was a kid, we used to play in that, and there's all kind of folklore about things here on this property because this is all Cherokee, initially Indian land up through here, all of it, Appalachia. But nobody said there's a ghost here or there. Well, we built the Oni Gate because at one time I was going to put a 2-story, like a pagoda house in there because I like building stuff. And they said this is a natural portal, and the one in the corner there with all the gargoyles facing forward, that's been there for at least 22, 23 years now. And that's to protect them from us, not us from them. Right. So that's how that happened. And then other stuff in here, people come in and go, "There's this." Now, somebody comes in and goes, "I see this." Everybody sees something different given their gifts, abilities, and choices. But anytime you have over like 20 years, people who have not met each other before everything started becoming more public on like YouTube, whatever, 8 or 9 people that don't know each other start saying the same thing, right. Then you have to start going, okay, they start to reinforce each other, so maybe this is something I'll look into, and then I would build something according. Yes.
So whenever you say that, I guess whenever the psychic stated that the shrine is to protect them from us, what kind of danger would I guess we as humans pose on the spirit world?
Disruption. Disruption of sacred space to them. Just like just being a wing nut in a place, acting a fool, whatever you want to call it, just acting inappropriate. Disrespectful. Yeah. In Japan and in Asia, well, if you go into most churches and acted disrespectful, you would expect some type of a repercussion from that, either from the people who would see you do it and call you out for it immediately, all the way up to the deity that the thing is there, and they'll say, "Not only am I going to correct you, but you got that going on, you better straighten up." So that's something that's common with all. How bad it is here in a Ura Shrine, there's a thing that has happened here, I think, with so many people, and I will butcher this because I'm Appalachia, I speak country. So my Japanese is countrified. So when somebody goes, "Oh, he said that wrong," or pronounced it wrong, but it's self-aware, jukuishike. And it's also self-protecting, which is juko hogo. And we found that out in a way that was pretty terrifying. People who come here over 20 years that have tried to do direct harm to the shrine or people here at the shrine has met with some very, just
pretty unfavorable,
coincidental things like right then. And you go, woo, and you go, had that just don't that, and then it happened. So yes, the shrine is pretty much, I don't worry too much about, and that doesn't mean a comment might not hit it tomorrow or something, but we have had people here who were less than genuine who came here, and the shrine will, if you're not respectful here, you won't come back. There's an old saying, if you're not meant to be at the shrine, you can't get here. And we've had teams and people try to get here for years, and every time they start to come here, car breaks down or somebody gets sick or something, they don't make it. And the rule of the elders here, and there are elders that have been here for as many as 15 years, they go, they're just not meant to be here. So,
I'm glad we were welcomed.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made it.
Now, if you go home and your transmission falls out, that's not.
No,
No.
don't wish that on.
Maybe we're supposed to stay, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. So I know that you said that you're pretty skeptical on a lot of it, but you said that you have witnessed and seen, or you've witnessed things that have happened to others here. As far as it goes, what do you think that we may be in for tonight? So we're pretty much a group of skeptics, and I would say it's probably of varying degrees. I think John's probably our more. Am I correct in saying you're probably a more adamant believer? And
Yeah.
and I would say I'm just underneath
I'm the
you.
most open.
And then we have our other three fairly big skeptics. Now, Casey, am I okay as saying that you don't really believe in much, or
It's not that I don't really believe.
you don't believe?
I've never witnessed anything. I guess I'm open to.
Yeah.
Let me ask you
things,
this.
but-
Would there be, we'll take away some kind of a, cutting the head off an animal or something to sacrifice. If you have in your core beliefs a fear or a line that you would not go past. In other words, if you saw this ritual happening, you would be, I don't think I want to go there.
Right.
That has probably happened here.
Okay.
So where the thing is that you can come in and be totally, you may come in a place light up, and I've never seen books or stuff fly around like in the poltergeist movies. I've heard things, I've seen things, seen dolls move, seen things happen. If you don't want to see it, you won't. I'll give you the same analogy I do everybody else, and then I'll shut up so you can go. How I make the analogy of why that is. I say plumbers find leaks. Bug people find bugs, and ghost people find ghosts. And how I explain that, and it's a very simple thing that, and this is actually a cone from the Asia, is if you took, let's imagine you was in a place and you had a little lake, and there's a path around the lake and it's daytime, and we get two people, and you say, I want you to walk around this lake and just walk, and we're going to meet you on the other side and ask you about your walk. And you say, okay. So you start the first person, they go down, you wait till they get out of the way. Then you say, next person, same thing, you start them down there. Then you walk over to the other end of the lake, you wait about 15, 20 minutes, the first one comes in, you go, hey, how was your walk? And you say, it was great. It was great. It's all, they say, what'd you see? And they say, well, it's, nature and things. They say, well, how many birds did you see? And they go, well, didn't think about it. I've heard some birds, and I think I saw one or two fly over, and I saw them. They go, okay, thank you. And he walks by. Then the next guy comes in about 5 minutes behind them, same day, same time, same path. And you ask him the same questions, and you say, okay, did you probably see? And they say, well, how many birds did you see? And he said, odd you ask, because this guy is an avid bird watcher. And he goes, I'm surprised you asked. He said, I saw this, that ain't even supposed to be here for 4 more months. Say, I saw this and I saw this. And he's going to give you a completely different explanation of what that path was, because he was looking for it. So people who come here, what you come here for, if you're not looking for it, you don't see it.
Got it.
But if you come here with the idea, I want to see, and be genuine, you might have an experience. You may not. I'm not saying this is thing. So if you, somewhere, every one of us has a place that you're going, yeah, I really don't know about that. If you ask, it's here. And here's another thing is, I'll tell you why, because things can't be, you are protected here in the Ura Shrine, and not to get into the whole, the whole form of how all this works, but the kami can come here. So I can say this knowingly, that if something has been trying to tell you something for a while, and you've been pushing it back, either in dreams or in this, and and it's saying, I want to give you a message, I want to do this. The minute you came through this gate, no matter what you were saying before, don't come, it can be here right beside you. It can't. That's what this place is. It is duality. So your worst fear or your best lesson can happen here, because whatever's been trying to teach you before and you've been ignoring, times, we're not getting into all that, but it's here now. If you want, if you would just ask, in other words, for what I'm saying, if you want to experience something, watch you sit down and you genuinely ask away, and you don't have to tell anybody, I asked this question and I got this. You can experience things here. That's why this place is so different.
Yeah.
I have people come here and they go, I need some time. And you go, all right. And you don't ask them what they want, and they come in, they come out. Sometimes they're crying, sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're going, I need to come back. And you go, all right. And that's just what it is. Just like a Buddhist temple or a Zen garden or the woods. If you want to go out in Appalachia, you know how I think people find what they do here is they go fishing.
Yeah.
They sit there and they
Very
just
meditative. And, yeah.
And yeah, fishing's a thing. I didn't realize it. Took me 50 years to learn one thing in martial arts, and it was a fisherman that taught it to me, not a kendo master. Yeah, it really was. A whole nother thing. Yeah, they used to say, what's mushin? And they say, not here, it's at the tip of the sword, and you're going, couldn't do it. And I don't fish. I don't like water much. I'm not the best swimmer. Well, I'm not the best swimmer. I don't see the idea of going out and boat drowning. No, I don't want to do it. Too big. I don't float good. So I don't float well. I'm walking on the bottom to get out. And so years and years and years, Mushin, don't hear it's out there. And I went fishing and I threw my little thing out. And all of a sudden I felt something go. That was at least 50 yards away. And I immediately went, that's what it's talking about. That's why fishermen, when you fish, you're not here, you're all the way down there. That separation of mind and thought, that's what it is. That's what this place does.
Okay.
That's what this place does. You come in and you're thinking, and then you feel the little tickle down there, and you go like, oh, for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, will something jump out and grab you? I don't know. If it does, don't run, because, I've had people run out of here screaming.
I think that was whenever you called me. You asked me that, are you guys going to run around screaming? I said, I don't think we are. We haven't yet.
Sure hope not.
So it's...
I don't plan to.
Yeah. Do you think that so I guess what makes this such a hub for this kind of activity, though, if it started as a Shinto shrine, and I suppose this is kind of my wrap-up question, unless John has anything else, do you think it's because of, I would assume, the mysticism behind Shintoism that draws this energy here? Or do you think it's from the collective of different...
Collective.
Okay.
It is from the collective.
So it's like a residual energy
From,
and just drawn...
Damn. Some of the stuff in here I look at and I go like, ooh.
Okay. Yeah.
That me doing that, and I was like, hey, you guys are swimming in the deep end of the pool at night.
Way. Yeah, well, I think whenever I sent you the notes, I said I think John was the only one okay with us summoning. And I said, we're out on that.
You can sit right here and you can summon Hecate. Some of these witches will take you right there, and they'll take you through stuff, and you're sitting there going, I did one they did right here. I'm kind of a skeptic. It's about 6 of them. And it was back in this section before we made the big one. And they're doing the ritual, and I'm watching. And I started hearing singing. And I'm going, whoa. I'm hearing voices singing, almost like Celtic singing, or all around in the bamboo. Oh. And I'm going, okay, this is new. It is. And it wasn't scary. It wasn't anything. They took it and they got done. And I said, I heard people singing. They go, yeah, it's this and this and this. And I go, all right. Now, can I prove it? Did I record it? It don't matter. I heard them singing. And I'm going,
I think our big thing is we believe that you believe.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And what you manifest in your mind can happen here pretty quick, because something, you can go in there and you can get as dark as you want to be. If you want to take a chalk and draw a pentagram on the ground and light some candles in it and start, cut the lights off. I got some stuff I can hand you in there that people left.
Well, I'm thinking nothing but happy thoughts tonight. So
you can go where you want. But right. I will give you this warning before you go. If you're in there and you're wanting to get an answer from a past relative, 99% of the time, it ain't going to be your relative talking to you here. I can promise you that. If your relative, now this is just the belief from here in Asia and a few things, if your grandmother or father or somebody in the past is going to come to you and give you a message, it's going to be a one-on-one, And it's not going to be in a place like this with somebody else going, I'm talking to your Uncle Joe. That ain't going to be the case. I ain't putting nothing on them. I'm saying it's going to be things out there that are not human, that have never been human, that are never going to be human, that want to taste what it is like to be human. That's what it is, because they don't feel this.
Yeah.
We have senses they don't have. They're curious about it.
Yeah.
So if you're in there and something goes, because if you're thinking it, they know it. And if you're saying, oh, that might be my Uncle Joe, they'll go, Joe. They'll watch, and they'll play Joe for you. They will. So if you go there, unless you see them standing in front of you and that's your person you're trying to see, and I've had people say that, then, well, no, you can gauge it all you want. Just understand they tricking you. You know, they...
Seriously.
Do you believe in synchronicity?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so it's whenever I left here, and I think we were all in good spirits and at peace and everything. I think whenever I went home with my wife, and my father passed away in 2019, and I said I don't really buy into a lot, not as far as what you guys do. I believe in all that, but as far as the paranormal world, I'm very. It has to be tangible. I have to see it to believe it. And I think I mentioned to my wife is, I was like, I kind of hope and I kind of don't hope that my dad comes through, since the veil is so thin there, which is what, the others were talking about in there. Right. And so now in saying that, though, I'm like...
Be guarded.
Yeah. Which is what I did this morning.
You be guarded, because literally, personally, my belief from dealing with the occult, and what I mean by the occult is a word that just means secret. And basically, if it is not an Abrahamic religion of either Judaism, Christianity, or Muslim, then it is considered occult worldwide by most of them. So as an occultist, anything that's not that, I'm a little wary about what's out there.
I agree.
Keep your head on a swivel. This is a place you can interact. I'm not saying it's all bad or that it's all tricky and what have you, but be careful what you ask for, but ask for what you want. You might.
I think whenever we heard last time, I think that's what you, what I kind of, I think I mentioned to you that you kind of get what you give to this place, and that's what returns to you. So
Awesome.
So nothing but happy thoughts.
And we absolutely do a 180. Most people come here looking for that kind of inspiration and connection. And we don't, we're not the group here that goes, okay, come here, let me show you what to do. Ooh, no. Because too many people are looking too hard and they'll run into something that's not really what they're wanting necessarily. So, you go like, okay, let's let this happen, do this, and let it happen on the side. So ask what you want, do what you want. There's some dark stuff in here.
Well,
there is some absolutely dark stuff in here. People bring things here that they can't keep in haunted places. And it's safe here. We protect them from us, not the other way around.
Did you bring the tiki torch? No, you didn't? Oh, never mind.
Who are you talking to? Oh, there's somebody back here. All right. Now, if you'd have walked up, walked up, touched me on the shoulder right there, I was like, oh, here we go.
And that, my Wendibros, brings this conversation with Rick to a close. This conversation, because I hardly think that we're done having more talks with Rick. What you've heard wasn't meant to convince you of anything, only to offer a little bit of understanding. Not every place of mystery is a place to fear. Not everything unknown deserves a label before you actually experience it. The Ura Shrine, well, it may look intimidating from the outside, especially through the lens of rumor or sensational storytelling. But as Rick shared with us that night, and with you now, it's ultimately a place built on intention, respect, and hopefully, togetherness. If you ever find yourself searching for quiet, for balance, or even just for a moment of peace, maybe the answer isn't running from what unsettles you, but sitting with it long enough to understand it. We'd like to thank Rick for welcoming us, trusting us, and speaking openly by the fire that night. And we thank you for listening. Until next time, stay curious, do some grounding, and take the time to learn what's really in front of you. I bet it's not that scary. This has been the Wendibros. And remember, if you've got a boo, well, you better call a bro.